Good evening. Welcome to On Another Level Book Club's author Babble, where we're getting up close and personal with Ange Alex, author of Unravel, Finding Happiness by Coming Completely Undone. Welcome, Miss Alex, and thank you for joining us on this evening.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
No. I don't know what happened. I still can't hear you. Can you hear me? I hear you. Yes. Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, let's try this
Let's
again.
do this again.
Welcome to On Another Level Book Club's author Babble, where we're getting up close and personal with Ange Alex, author of Unravel, Finding Happiness by Coming Completely Undone. Welcome, Miss Alex, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad I can hear you now too.
I know, I was like, not again, not again, but we're going to work through it. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm 42 years old. I'm very proud of that fact. I usually try to tell people how old I am everywhere I go, which gets annoying sometimes, but
Claim it and be proud of it.
I'm just happy. It took me a long time to be happy and love myself. So I just tell everybody, okay, I'm 42. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm 49 again for the 50th time or whatever. I'm 42 and I'm the mom of 3 amazing teenagers. Love writing. I love talking to people. I love sharing my story and encouraging people. And I travel full time in an RV all across the great US of A.
What experiences I'm sure you have. And let me bow down to you, mother of 3 teenagers.
I do.
Oh my gosh, how you do it?
Oh man, they're
Oh, wow.
actually it's really funny. I'm a big believer that what you put in, you're gonna get out in
Right.
everything in life. And the same is kind of true with your kids. There's some teenage quirks that are just going to be, somewhat moody sometimes, but they're amazing, amazing people. They're loving, they're kind. We've poured that into them their entire lives and tried to show them that's what life is about. It's about love and giving love and sharing compassion and your stories and trying to just make a difference just by being the best version of you. So I'm so grateful that my kids are who they are and how they are. But yeah, I think it's definitely been an interesting ride because they're very close in age. So
okay.
I had a 3.5-year-old, a 17-month-old, and a newborn all by the time I was 28. So it was quite a wild ride for sure.
Right. The crown goes to you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm sure the experience they're having
thank you.
traveling consistently as teenagers, they're having some life experiences that a lot of people just don't get to have.
Oh yeah, it's just been so wonderful for me because even when we started out 5 years ago, my youngest one was 8. And I just thought, he might not remember half of this. He might not remember a lot of this trip. I will. I'll always remember it, and I'll always cherish the time I got to spend with them and we've been on, and I don't take it for granted at all. When I say that, I'm completely honest. When I go to bed at night, I am grateful because I meet people all the time and they say, "Oh my God, you're living my dream." Those are big words. Those are very, very, and to be able to do that and to have this opportunity, I'm very, very grateful for it.
Okay, so let's talk about Miss Ange as the writer. So, is this your first book, or are there others?
There's others. I've been writing on and off for quite a while, and I had a magazine at one point in Atlanta that supported the arts, the art extremely important in my family. My daughter is an accomplished artist at age 17. The illustrations in my book are actually done by her.
Really?
Yes, yes, and she did that when she was 16, and her and I wrote a children's book together, which I can post a link in that for everybody to find. It's on Amazon, but she illustrated the entire picture book, children's book. My husband's a musician, and always just been very creative. So the art
Mhm.
is important to us. So that's kind of how I got my feet wet in terms of being comfortable finding my writing voice. And then from there, I wrote a book about losing our daughter. I had a miscarriage for our daughter, Kylie Grace, on Thanksgiving Day. And this was, 8 years ago. Really, that was a really hard time in my life. And I wrote a small book about that.
Mhm.
I written a couple of mini books just about health and wellness and
Okay.
travel. But yeah, this is oh man, this book is really important to me. It's just kind of a altogether um, what I've learned so much in 42 years,
Mhm.
and just how to find happiness. I think that's the missing link in so many people's lives.
Mhm. So let's get to the novel. The title in itself
Mhm.
says a lot.
Yes.
Okay, Unravel is
Hmm.
deep in itself, but
Yes.
then just finding happiness by coming completely undone. What sparked you? I mean, what was the what? Where did the title come from? Just talk to me. Where did you get the title?
It started when I started thinking about us as people, and how much baggage we carry, how much we deal with as we grow up and as we get older. And I was born into an extremely religious family. I went to a private school my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly heard this saying about God knitting you together in your mother's womb.
Mm-hmm.
I never really gave much thought to it until I started, really diving into this, finding myself and becoming my true self and loving my true self.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started thinking about that. And I thought, it's really kind of silly, because anything that's knitted together is going to come apart. It's going to fray. It's going to be a mess. Why would that terminology be used?
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me that that is exactly the point of this whole thing, is to fall apart. So we constantly think, and we're told to hold it all together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad thing when somebody says about you that you're coming apart. Oh my God, your life is falling apart. And it's this bad connotation that we've kind of
Right.
carried with us our entire lives, when in reality, that's really the only way that we're ever truly going to find that happiness, is to fall apart, shed all of the things that we don't need, all of the past hurt, past regret, shed the ideas about who we were based
Mm-hmm.
on people's opinions of us. And I think, to me, that was really important, because that's what my late 30s and 40s was really about, was
Mm-hmm.
discovering my voice, not this version of Angie that everybody wanted me to be, or that I was expected to be, or that I was told I was. It was about finding who I really was. And that is, a large amount of unraveling involved in that. And I think that's the way it is for everybody. We
That's so.
come into this world, a perfect ball of pure love.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, we're knit with, from the very beginning, we're knit with other people's dreams and other people's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, our parents do it out of love, but they're still feeding us what they think we are, or what they think we should do.
Right.
And that happens as we get friends in school, and as we go to work, and as we grow, we're constantly being inundated with other people's opinions of us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we're the only one that knows who we truly are and what we truly want. And it's just about um, finding the strength to pull those strings that maybe you held on to and fall apart. Let it happen. Nobody said it's not going to hurt, but
Exactly.
what you have then is the ability to recreate yourself in the image that you want, an image that reflects the true you. And that is worth it. It's worth it all right there.
Mm-hmm. So, in unraveling yourself and getting to know your happiness,
Yeah.
did you find that there was conflict between what you was taught or what was ingrained in you as a child, growing up in a religious household?
Mm.
Was there conflict there where you had to really face, okay, this may not be the one way to do this or to view this certain situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's just really tuning into yourself, into who you are. If you're ever operating out of fear,
Mm-hmm.
then you're out of balance. You're not,
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from a place of fear, which is gonna constantly put you in areas and feelings that you don't want to feel, and
Mm-hmm.
certainly not happiness.
Right.
And so if you're operating from a standpoint of love, that's going to change everything, because when you love yourself, you're going to have a bigger and stronger ability to love, and that's really what's missing in so many different religions. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to necessarily get into like the nitty gritty of it, but there's so much talk, um, but the real thing is loving each other. We're all connected, and if we find a way to pull those strings of whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is that maybe doesn't make sense when it comes to love, then I think we'll all be better off. But yeah, for me, that was
Mm-hmm.
huge. That was huge for me, was to unravel a lot of that, because there's so many different versions of religion, and just what I grew up in, um and there was a lot to unravel for myself, for
Yeah,
sure.
and I have had that experience as well growing up. I grew up in the church as well, and it's like you are a person that you don't know, and
Yeah.
it's the minute you step outside of the box, then
Hmm.
you know you're not a part of the church anymore, But I think at times, as you stated, if you're not happy with what you're doing,
Hmm.
you know, if there's fear or if you don't find true happiness in what you're doing, then maybe that's not your calling. I see a lot of people just continue going through the
Oh,
same thing over
yeah.
and over again,
Yeah.
living misery,
Yeah.
misery.
It's so true. And I mean, and that is true with so many parts of our lives, and not
Mhm.
really just the religious part, but for us in the United States, religion is a
Right,
very big part of
right,
most of our upbringings.
right.
And it is kind of hard to get through that, I think. Sometimes for me, it was turning back the light on myself,
Hmm.
to listen to myself, and to trust myself, and to love myself. And that was really crucial, because I never heard that growing up. Everything was always dependent on somebody else.
Right, right,
And even, I mean, I think we even find that a lot as we get, go through life, just as a society.
right.
We teach our children that they need us to
Mhm.
survive. They need their teachers to learn. They need a job. They need a boss. They need, everything is outside of them.
Mhm.
And I think what the best thing we can do is maybe unravel that a little bit, to understand that, we have a lot of the answers to our own problems.
Right. Within
You know,
them.
we just aren't listening hard enough.
Okay, so when we talk about unraveling,
Yes.
do you see the unraveling process as one complete process, or are there times in your life where you may have to unravel for a second or third time as you
Yeah.
experience different things?
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. I think unraveling is a constant part of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can look back at your life, you can view several different times when you've unraveled, probably. Or I always say there's two types of unraveling. One is the unraveling that happens to you. That those,
Mm-hmm.
I like to say, are tragedies. Or when I lost my daughter, that was a huge unraveling. I literally fell apart. My
Mm-hmm.
life fell. And um, and as I look back on it now, um, in that falling apart, it
Mm-hmm.
was like, it was actually a wonderful thing, because it was as if, you know, that instant of unraveling, complete and total disintegration, I was actually able to really be myself. When I hadn't been up into that point, I was holding on to ideas that weren't really me. And in that falling apart and in that pain and that grief, I was able to realize that I wanted to be something different, and I wanted something better for myself, or I wanted, you know, just something different. And I think those are the things that really, really hurt us, are those unravelings, and those are done for us. So we should be almost grateful for them in a way. Easier said than done, but then there's the other unraveling. So those are the ones that we have to do for ourselves. Those are much harder. Those are the pain that we might have to look back on. Something that might have happened to us when we were younger that we still hold on to, or, you know, ideas. I spent so many years of my life not viewing myself as worthy, because I had a warped sense of myself, my self-image, and it started when I was younger. What I looked like and what I was supposed to be was a certain size. And, you know, I was on a diet when I was 10 years old, and I was anorexic, full-blown anorexic by the time I was 15. So to unravel that was a deep, deep, knitted string in there into my very being. And that was extremely hard to unravel. And I think people might not have something as extreme as that. They might have something much worse than that. But those are the things that we have to. We owe it to ourselves to assess every thought we have about ourselves, and assess it for its truth. Is it true? Was I only good because I weighed a certain weight? No, absolutely not. Was my worth ever based on that? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
I'm worthy as that young girl, just as I'm worthy now. So there are constant unravelings we have to do as we get older. We have time to reflect. We have this opportunity to view the life a little bit different because we've lived a little bit longer, and we can kind of see things. Sometimes we see something in somebody else that reflects to us, and we say, "Oh, wow, maybe I do. Maybe I should pull the string a little bit on that one too." But I don't think it'll ever be done. I think that we'll constantly go through life, pull apart false ideas and false narratives, and I think that's the beautiful thing. That's what we're here for. We're here for that journey. We're just going to get right to the destination. I think we'd miss out on a lot of the adventure along the way. So I do need to constantly pull it apart, and it's okay. We're all in the same boat. Like, nobody's got it figured out. Nobody's perfectly knitted together person. We're all going to constantly fall apart, and it's okay. It's okay to fall apart.
It's okay. And when you talked about the two types of unraveling, you know, I was looking at it as, I mean, because if you really look at it, it's reciprocal. Because as you unravel, your relationship change.
Absolutely.
How you enjoy, how you view your career change. You know, the religion, it's all interconnected, you know. And I'm looking at your the cover of the book. Your daughter did an excellent job. And the fact that there's not just one piece of string unraveling. There's different, you know, because it connects different aspects of your life.
It really does. And you know what's funny is if you could see the bigger picture of that, you would see a string from me to you, from you, from, you know, we are still all connected. So in my unraveling of myself, I'm actually going to be helping you because I can view you differently. I can see you differently. I can have compassion. I can have love. And the same goes for you. When you off those strings that are holding you back or not helping you, they're limiting beliefs for sure, then help somebody else. So it's absolutely reciprocal. It's a beautiful thing. It's the way it was supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's actually kind of exciting when you accept it and you think that it's you know, all of the times I've fallen apart, I always came out better.
So the book, is it, in the sense, does it read like a novel or a self-help book, or, you know?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more of a self-help book.
Okay.
I don't generally like to use that category because I don't believe that anybody needs help. I don't believe that we're broken.
I understand.
That we all just need a little encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
and we can, absolutely sew ourselves back up and mend ourselves. But yeah, I guess in technical terms, it would be viewed as a self-help book. So it reads, with basically introducing you into this idea of us being these little balls of yarn. And again, my daughter did such a wonderful job with the illustrations. I didn't guide her at all. I told her, here's what I'm looking for in
Mm-hmm.
this scenario. I need a little, yarn baby being knit together by its parents, no, that's it. And I just kind of let her channel that sort of creativity and that love into those.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see, the first illustration is that of a little person being knit together by two other people, and that's really, often, more times than not, that's how we come into the world. We come into the world knitted with love. Uh,
Right.
some of us, and you'll see another illustration in there of a person that was knit together not with love, with anger and resentment and hurt, and that's unfortunate. That does happen a lot. You have parents that don't
Mm-hmm.
get along, or never wanted a child, or whatever it might be, and that
Mm-hmm.
that person's gonna have a lot more to unravel. um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's even more crucial that they do unravel that, because they're just as worthy. So yeah, it just kind of takes you through this idea that we're just balls of yarn, so we're going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But the beautiful thing is we actually own the needles. We can sew ourselves back up. We can knit
Love it.
up. And
Mm-hmm.
if you knit yourself back up with love, you're unstoppable. You're stronger. You're more resilient, and
Mm-hmm.
you are able to help others knit themselves back up too. So the book really just walks you through that introduction into us as these people and what we've grown to believe. I share a couple of personal stories
Mm-hmm.
myself. One about the worth in my weight as a child, and how I overcame that.
Mm-hmm.
One about my daughter when I lost her. And then I share a couple of other stories about people I know personally, and some seriously uh, interesting unraveling moments, quite devastating, and how they came out on the other side, how they were able to knit themselves back together. And really, it's just kind of an expression of me hoping that you're encouraged by it, and that you find that deep, deep love for yourself, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is really what that happiness is. It's
Right.
not somebody else, and it's not found in the ideas that you were told. It's found in you and in creating the you that you want.
Mm-hmm. So how does that tie in? And I see it tying in deeply with discovering your true purpose in life.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we constantly go through life, even when we're younger. I just think about my life. I had no idea what I was going to do, but yet we put pressure on kids to know who they are when they're 18 years old. And what are you going to do? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to be this? Are you going to be that?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea who they are yet, so
Right.
quite a bit of pressure. But I think as we go through life and we unravel these limiting beliefs that maybe we adopted out of necessity or
Mm-hmm.
out of fear, we can start to allow ourselves that freedom to discover our true purpose. And that might be, for some people, I found that I've met so many people that this was something as creative as art, or
Mm-hmm.
like that they were always told they weren't good at, or that their parents encouraged them not to go into, because you don't want to be a starving artist. um,
Right.
but but that was who they truly were, and that was what brought them joy. I think that's the biggest thing is, you have to do what brings you joy. If you're not doing what brings you joy, you're never going to pull that last string of happiness. You're going to constantly be looking for this other way, and I always call it the happiness trap, because so many people put this happiness off as if it's like somewhere else. It's, I'm going to be happy when I get that job.
Right.
I'm going to be I move to Utah. I'm going to be happy when this, and that's a trap. It's not there. Happiness isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they like to give reasons about why they aren't happy right now.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be happy right now? Look, I don't, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We're this, we're that, we're this, and it's still a trap. That's all the same trap you just fell into.
Right.
You can be happy
I
right where
like
you
that.
are. It might be harder for some than others, but
Mm-hmm.
happiness is just inside of you. And the only way to find it is by pulling apart all that stuff that doesn't belong there.
Oh, it sounds like a wealth of information. Okay, so we're going to stop now. Tell us where our viewers can reach you and where can they purchase your book.
Okay, so I am on Amazon. You can find me on Amazon too, but you can also go to my website, which is angiealex.com, and it's ANGEALEX. And you can order the book on there. I think you can also order the children's book on there too,
Okay.
if you're so inclined to do so. It's an adorable story about a little bee who discovers that nothing's more beautiful than being himself.
Aw,
So that's a great little story there.
I'm going to have
And
to get that for my nephew. That'll be adorable.
yeah, they can find me on the website or social media. I'm the Angie Alex on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. And
Okay,
I love new people, so make sure you say hey.
definitely. Okay, so at this time, we're going to peel the onion. We're going to
Yeah.
go to another level, another layer, and we're going to
Oh,
get to know you a little deeper. I'm going to ask you some thought provoking questions,
oh,
and we ask that you just be open and honest.
let's do it.
Miss Angie,
Hmm.
oh, what would you do if you had a magic wand at this time?
Ooh, magic wand. Wow. That's a really good question. Oh, gosh, you know what? I don't know. I'd probably break it because I don't think I can, you can't actually help anybody else. They have to help themselves. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would do. That's such a good question.
Okay,
Um,
think on
yeah,
it. Think on it.
probably would hide it.
Okay, for a time when you really, really need it, huh?
Absolutely. Yes.
What kind of animal would you like to be, and where would you like to live?
Ooh, an animal. I always wanted to be a dolphin. Um, so I live in the ocean
Oh,
and yeah, I'd just probably be free out there jumping around all over the place.
a dolphin. I have never heard that one before. Okay. Share something that you fear.
Oh, fear. Mm. I've worked really hard to unravel fear. So,
Okay.
no, I don't, it sounds, not true for me to say it, but I don't really fear anything.
Okay.
I got that taken care of,
Yeah.
early in my life.
Next question. What do you think your friends say about you when you're not around?
They probably say I'm a weirdo.
No.
They probably, I just hope that they just know, they all know how much I love them and I miss them all right now. And
Mm,
I'm sure, they have good things to say about me.
okay. And our last question is, um, share a frustration that you have.
My biggest frustration is complaining.
Mm,
Totally honest with you, it tests my very last nerve if I hear somebody complaining. It just I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's not productive.
mm-hmm.
So it's like a waste of energy, and then it changes the whole energy in the room to where
Right.
now I'm feeling the weight of what you just said, and we still aren't any closer to solving the problem. So
Right.
I think complaining to me is a no. My kids know this very well.
That's a good way to look at the complaining.
Yeah.
I always say, try to come with a solution if you're going to bring it to
Yeah,
a
exactly.
team.
Like, there's nothing, you don't have to be happy all the time. Like, and I mean, this book isn't designed to make you believe that if you're not happy, something's wrong with you. There
Mm-hmm.
are emotions that we feel for various reasons, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my kids that you don't have to be happy all the time. You can be disappointed. If I told you no to something, I don't expect you to smile and thank me.
Right.
But don't come to me with this nonsense of how horrible something is if you aren't prepared to try and solve it. Just to say
Love it. Right.
bad, just to say it's bad, does nothing for me.
Right. Right.
So keep it to yourself.
Good way to look at it. Good way to look at it. Okay, at this time, we are going to switch it over, and we're going to go to Chopping It Up with our viewers, where we're going to bring in our voice of reason, and she's going to entertain questions from our viewing audience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun.
Yes. Let's see if she's able to join us without any technical difficulties. And while she's joining us, because I know it's a process, share with us, without giving too much away, maybe one of the first steps to take in finding your happiness.
I think the first step is self-talk, how we talk to ourselves. If you think about it, and we all have this time right now where we have a little bit more time to ourselves than we used to, say last year. And we can maybe be more aware of our thoughts. And times we think negative about ourselves just out of habit. Like, how many times I've done it, I've caught myself thinking, oh, I can't do that, or oh, no, I shouldn't do that. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not that, or anything that is a negative thought about ourselves. I think starting to become aware of our thoughts is probably the most crucial step, because when we're aware of it, we can change it, and we can change that dialogue to something more positive.
I totally agree with that. I truly believe in speaking things into existence and positive affirmation, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. So if you put in negativity.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole line of thought about, what you speak, you create.
Right.
But it's actually even deeper than that. It's what you think you create. So the whole power exists in your mind. If you are constantly thinking negative thoughts, yet you go around saying how you want $1 million, you're not going to get $1 million. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not. You're right. Whatever they want, but your thoughts are going to dictate everything that happens to you.
Exactly.
So that's the biggest thing I would say is flipping that switch in your mind about how you talk to yourself.
Good point. I love that. Okay, Miss Duncan, are you able to join us?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
You can.
Yeah.
All right. We have a question from Susan Krasno. She says, you state online that you have written several best-selling books. What is that based on?
That's on Amazon. It's based on Amazon. You can look at the different rankings, I guess, on Amazon, and each of the little mini books that we released, when they were released, you can get your ranking based on that. If you made it number 1 or whatever, there's on my little author page, you can see some of the screenshots from the different books we made to number 1 to a couple of them, number 7.
Awesome.
On bestseller list for the children's book. It's based on Amazon. Thanks for the question too.
Awesome. All right. There's no other questions right now in the queue, and it could be a delay, but right now I'm just waiting to see if anything else comes through.
Okay, so go ahead and share with the audience one more time how they can get in contact with you, and also where they can purchase your book.
Sure.
Your book
is a great place to purchase the book on there. It's the same price as it is on Amazon. So that's angiealex.com. You can also, again, search on Amazon and find me on there. And you can find me on social media and reach out to me and ask me on there too. I'd be happy to send you the right way.
So do you have any other books? Can we expect anything else from you?
Yeah, I am working on a couple of them. I'm actually working on a journal that's kind of going to go hand in hand with this.
Nice.
So it'll be kind of like a work through journal where you can write in it. You can, journal your thoughts. Because again, one of the biggest parts of unraveling is changing the way you think.
Right.
And then you can change your perspective. So it's a journal that I'm going to be working on. I am working on, and that'll be out soon. And I am kind of working on the next book. It's called Self-ish, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really kind of trying to flip the script on how we view, how we care for ourselves and how we view, looking out for ourselves. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important that we care for ourselves and we don't put ourselves last. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you best fill yourself, and then you can fill others' lives too.
I like that self-ish. Hmm.
Yeah, just a little. Your ish.
Mhm. So we have another question from Latice Phillips. She says, out of all the books you've written, which book is your favorite?
That's a really, really great question, Latisse. Thanks for asking it. I would say this one for sure. This one incorporates um, so much love into it, so much encouragement into um, uh, just from my experiences, in hopes that telling the stories will inspire everybody else to view the way that they see themselves and they view their lives and the events that have happened to them. So this one by far is my favorite. I love it. Close second is the children's book because he's just adorable. The little bee is so cute.
All righty. We don't have any other questions in our queue unless something pops up. But right now, that's all of our questions from our audience tonight.
Thank you guys.
So when you're thinking about the book, I mean, because now that I'm looking at it, and then the second book that's coming out, have you thought about expanding it to maybe doing workshops?
Definitely. Yes, that's actually on our agenda. I'm actually working on online courses
Mm-hmm.
available as a like 6-week, 6 separate module
Nice.
courses and group Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Become involved with other people that are wanting to unravel too, and kind of go through these steps together as a group and have that support system. So I'm definitely going to be doing that online. When the
Okay.
world opens back up, I would love nothing more than to continue traveling and meeting people
Right.
there and doing workshops to work through a lot of these things that we need to unravel.
So how long did it take you to write the book?
Um, it took me about 7 months. I worked on it,
And were you traveling in
and I was
RV?
traveling, and I was
Oh wow.
um um I'm being a mom. So that's definitely a full-time job too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me about 7 months, but I was really fortunate to have the time to just disappear and just be with my thoughts and kind of focus on that love, and sharing the love, and the thoughts just flowed.
Okay.
um, there were times when the book was finished, and I listened to it through audio, and I didn't actually remember writing some of it. It was like, wow,
Oh,
feeling something pretty crazy there
you were
because
in a zone.
wow. So
Wow.
yeah, that is about 7 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impressive.
We have another question from Amanda Neal Wilson. What's the most difficult knot that you've had to unravel?
Mm.
Mm, the Oh wow. I how I view myself was definitely probably the most difficult one.
Mhm.
It was like it was like as if I tried to unravel that several times in my life, only to discover that I could just patch it back up and not really get to the heart of it and not really
Mhm.
pull it apart and dive deep into it. So I think the hardest knot for me to unravel was my self-image and my worthiness and my love for myself. That was definitely the hardest. Second to that would be the unraveling that happened when I lost my daughter. But that was something, that wasn't a knot I had to do. That was
Right.
done. But it was a really difficult time in my life for sure. And I wouldn't have made it through without my really good friends and family.
Okay. Deanna McCauley says, "My Way is the Highway seems an interesting read. What advice would you give to another who is hesitant to follow their dream?"
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's just a little mini, one of those mini Kindle short reads. And it's really just a kind of glimpse into how we decided to leave the conventional way of life and live this sort of life of adventure. So I would say, um, all I can see is the last part of the question. It says, "What advice would you give to another who is hesitant to?"
Follow the dream.
Follow.
Oh, oh yeah. Um, oh wow. I would say go for it. And really, nothing's stopping you but yourself and fear. And you owe it to yourself. Whatever beautiful dream you have inside of you that you want to do, it's there for a reason, and it's there for you to get. And I say go for it. Go for it. I was crazy enough to do it. I've had the time of my life. And you know, I mean, there were so many people that couldn't wrap their head around our decision to leave everything, sell everything, and hit the road. But it
Oh,
was, and it's you know, it won't be forever. I won't do this forever. And like your dream might not be something that is the end all be all, but it's still important to you. And if it's important to you, you owe it to yourself. I tell everybody, all we're here to do is chase the feels. Being good feelings, I think a lot of us chase the bad feelings a lot, but
mhm.
if it's going to bring you joy and it's something you really want to do, you owe it to yourself to do it and push past that fear. The hardest step will always be the first one. Once
Mhm.
you take that first step and whatever it is you want to do, and you start that momentum going, you're going to get there and you're going to be so happy you did. I say push past that fear and do it.
Great advice. Great advice.
We have another question from Chevalier George. He says, "What was your best solution for writer's block?"
That's
Assuming you had writer's block.
That's a really great question, and I don't know if I necessarily had writer's block, but I mean, it would be if you can't write, you're blocked, I guess. But for me, it was it's just finding a something that brings me joy, something that brings me happiness, or even just sitting with my thoughts for 10 or 15 minutes and really focusing on something that brings me joy and happiness that I'm grateful for, and even going past the gratitude to something I appreciate
Mhm.
and and from that point of joy and happiness, it seems like you're kind of more in aligned with
Mhm.
thoughts and your own energy, and from there creativity tends to flow a little bit easier. So I think that for me that was always crucial. If I was just sitting there and just didn't know what to think or feel or write, it was again, with that whole chasing the feels thing, it's
Mhm.
feeling good. And even if you have to think about something that felt good or that is perfect, your kids, your puppy, your cat, whatever brings you joy, that feeling and being in that deep gratitude and that deep feeling oftentimes opens up a whole bunch of creativity.
Thank you. That was a great answer. Yolanda Vaz says, "How were you able to manage the change in relationships during the unraveling process?"
Yeah, that's a really good question. It does change. Different relationships do change in your unraveling process. Those that are close to you might not understand what you're going through. Funny enough,
Right.
um, but it's difficult. I always say that there's a part in the book called the loose strings, and I think about that being, as you start to come apart and you start to make yourself this better person, either you will inspire other people and you'll have stronger, more bonded relationships.
Mhm.
You'll see that those relationships start to fray and start to come apart. It has nothing to do with you. It's the fact that you're a reflection to somebody else of what they may not be willing to accept at the point in time. The dynamic's going to change. It's going to change when you're making strides to follow your dreams or whatever it is you're trying to do. That's movement forward. The dynamic in a relationship is going to change, and I think it's just important to stay the course and to know that you're on the right path. If you're actively loving yourself coming apart with this, you know, these ideas or these things. And I mean, some of this might be hard because it might be deeply entrenched in your family. And in doing that unraveling, you might be coming apart your very family, the people that you were the closest to. And it's just important to know that that doesn't mean you're alone, and that doesn't mean you have nobody that you can count on. It just means that it's okay. Those are the loose strings. You just got to cut them, trim them up, and stay the course.
Awesome. Let's see. All right. I think that empties the queue again.
Yay!
Yay. So there's no more questions at this time.
I want to thank our voice of reason for joining us briefly.
Thank you.
Alex, it has been wonderful talking to you. I am so thrilled and excited to read your book.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure. Do you have any last words you want to leave with our listening audience?
Oh, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their schedules to listen to this and hear me talk about this idea of unraveling. And I hope if you get the book, I hope it speaks to you, and just know that we're all connected string by string, and you're loved more than you know.
Thank you. That's so inspirational. Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us on this evening. Join us next week, same place, same time. This is On Another Book Club from Dallas, Texas. Stay safe and have a great night. Next week's author will be Regina Curry, author of Marked, The Beginning of the End, the first installment of a trilogy. Have a good evening, and remember, reading gives us someplace to go when we have to stay where we are. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.